Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money. Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money. Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
It's a beautiful afternoon from the beautiful city of Abuja, from the studio of Leadership Podcast Last Word. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this week's edition of Money Radio, and we're talking specifically about the agribusiness and industry segment of the program. Today we are discussing a topic that says how insecurity is contributing to the high cost of food. My name is Keith Hammond, and I'm being joined virtually by Mr. Paul Uwadima. Mr. Paul, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Great. Yes. How insecurity is contributing to the high cost of food. According to the June data released by the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, the price of food rose by 20.60% year on year. Yes, that is the June figure from the National Bureau of Statistics. That is high. For most Nigerians whose salaries are not being increased, they are actually static, and then you see inflation. So the price of food is actually going beyond the means of the common man. What is causing this high cost of food? That's
Thank
why
you.
we are going to discuss today, Mr. Paul. Welcome again.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Mr. Paul,
I hope you can hear me clearly.
can you walk us through the situation we currently find ourselves? Nigeria has hardly been through this for a very long time, if ever, to have 20.60% food inflation year on year. Nigerians are suffering. And when we talk about food inflation, we're talking about composite price of food. Composite food inflation, because there are some that are actually less. The inflation, food inflation, is actually less for some food items, but some of the items that we depend mostly on are actually higher than that 20%. So we're talking about an average here, and that is actually getting to Nigerians who are hardly finding it easy to buy basic food necessities. And of course, people are having to adjust their eating pattern. You know, before now, we'll popularly talk about 111 food consumption, but now we're talking about some people say 011, some people 101, and some people 001. And some people, they don't have a means, or they don't have hope of having the next meal. How did we get through this, and what is the way forward? Can you walk us through the situation, Mr. Paul?
Yeah, I think you know that
We're having a little technical issue right now. Please stay tuned. We'll be back just shortly. Thanks.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Welcome back, viewers. We're sorry, very sorry for that brief break in transmission. It was due to a technical fault. We're finding it difficult to get to Mr. Paul. Mr. Paul, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. I can hear you.
Great. So the topic we're discussing is how insecurity is contributing to high cost of food in the country. And before we went on that break, we were asking, Mr. Paul, can you walk us through the situation? How did we get here, and what's the way forward?
Okay. To tell you how dire the situation is, you remember that recently the United States government promised to give food aid to Nigeria to the amount of $55 million worth of food aid to Nigeria to cushion the impact of Ukraine-Russian war on food security in Nigeria. And if you're listening to what the United States ambassador to Nigeria said, he said that they understand that the vulnerable Nigerians are feeling the pinch of the food scarcity in the country as a result of the impact of the Ukraine-Russian war, which is affecting food supply in many parts of the world in one way or the other. In case of Nigeria, it is because of this same war. That is why there is a scarcity of bread right now in Nigeria. Because between these two countries, these two East European countries, Ukraine and Russia, they supply the bulk of the wheat we use in making bread in Nigeria. So the scarcity of wheat in the country has led to a situation where bread, which is a common food for ordinary Nigerians, and you know how important bread is to Nigerians. You can eat bread without tea. You can just buy a bread and get pure water and eat. The thing has gotten to the level that bread is beyond the reach of the average Nigerian. Even the well-off have removed, especially those in the middle class, they have removed bread from the breakfast table. That is how terrible it is. And you know that Nigeria also depends on fertilizer from this part of the world. Now it has also affected a major input in the agricultural sector, which is fertilizer. If you go to the market right now, the cost of fertilizer is high because of this same situation, this same war going on in Ukraine and Russia, between Ukraine and Russia. Now, why I brought up this issue is because so that we can realize how dire the situation is. I cannot remember when Nigeria has reached to the level where it has to depend on food aid to be able to survive. But we have gotten to that level where the United States government has promised, it's just a promise, to give $55 million to increase food supply in Nigeria. And that is also subject to the approval by the United States Congress. So it's not as if the money is already there. We still have to wait for the US Congress to approve it. But the message is clear that Nigeria is having a serious food security challenge. Now, this food security challenge is tied in several factors. It ties to the funding of agriculture. It ties to the inputs we use in agriculture. It ties to the seedlings. But most importantly, in the last few years, is tied to insecurity. Insecurity of lives and property has become a major challenge. And one of the people that are feeling it most are the rural dwellers, majority of whom are small-scale farmers, small-scale farmers who supply the bulk of the food we eat in the country. Now, this insecurity has affected several communities across Nigeria, including especially the food basket or the food basket belt of Nigeria, especially the middle belt of Nigeria. and the northwest of Nigeria. Now, these areas are known for the production of the grains that we eat in Nigeria. The bulk of it come from these areas. And if these areas cannot produce, then much of what we eat as grains will have to come from outside Nigeria. And we all know the scarcity of foreign exchange that we are having through importation, because we import quite a lot of almost everything we need in Nigeria. So insecurity has exacerbated the situation. If you have read the news today, you see that the coalition of northern groups, when they were talking about killings in northern Nigeria, they said that over 27,000 people have been killed in northern Nigeria as a result of insecurity. And I can tell you for free that majority of those that were killed were civilians, as that same group rightly pointed out. The majority of those that were killed are civilians, many of them residing in the rural areas, many of them farmers. In Niger State is known for production of grains and yam and several types of food crops. But Niger State is under siege by bandits. Several parts of Niger State is now under the occupation of bandits. Farmers cannot go to the farm unless they are permitted to go there by bandits. Farmers have been driven away from their communities. Niger State, for the first time in history, is now having a large pool of internally displaced persons chased away from the Shiroro area and environment, where they could have been available for this farming season to farm. They are all in the IDP camps. In Benue State prides itself at the food basket of the nation. Benue State right now is having over 1.5 million IDPs. Taraba State is having the same problem. Plateau State is having the same problem. Most part of Nasarawa farming communities are not having access to their farms. In several parts of Nigeria, including southern Nigeria, there are several communities that their farmlands have been seized by bandits or killer herdsmen. So Nigerians are not going to the farm. And that is what is reflected in the markets. The price of foodstuffs have continued to skyrocket because of insecurity. The insecurity in the country, unless it is stemmed, is likely to continue to cause high cost of foodstuff in Nigeria. It is a very pathetic situation, and it seems as if the government is overwhelmed. But the essence of government is to provide security for life and property. So therefore, the government has not only failed the people by failing to protect them, has also failed to make them have access to their farms. So it is a very pathetic situation we find ourselves in Nigeria right now. And it is pinching every shoe that every Nigerian wore right now, because look at the high rate of inflation in the country. While the inflation is skyrocketing, double-digit inflation, the worst we have ever had in 90 years. The salary of the average Nigerian worker has remained stable. So the inflation has eaten up the salary. So as a result of this, many Nigerians have lost virtually all their money they are earning as salary in feeding. And it's not even enough to feed them and their families. all because of our failure to manage insecurity. Because I can tell you for free that insecurity, if it had been well managed, Nigeria could have been able to withstand the impact of Ukraine-Russian war on the food supply chain around the world. Because why I'm telling you this, look at the success of the Anchor Borrowers Program of the Buhari administration, which is a loan assistance that the Central Bank of Nigeria organized for rice farmers in the country. It has been a very huge success to the level that Nigeria is today the largest producer of rice in Africa. But this achievement is being dwarfed by the insecurity, because even the rice farmers themselves are finding it difficult to access their farms. That is why there is no much price differential between the local rice and the foreign rice. And these rice are beyond the reach of average Nigerian. The minimum wage in Nigeria is 30,000. You can count the number of states that are even paying this minimum wage of 30,000. But a bag of rice is well ahead of the price of the price of rice is higher than that of the minimum wage. That is how terrible the situation is. So there is a need to do something about it. Because if you look at the insecurity, what it has caused, it has also increased the number of poverty in the country. Don't forget that Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world. So a country in which is now recorded officially as the poverty capital of the world now have a double problem of inability for its farmers to access their farms. Don't forget, over 70% of Nigerians are farmers, smallholder farmers. These are basically the people that are feeding 200 million Nigerians. Yet they have been able to do the best they could, given the circumstance they found themselves. The problem now is that they don't even have access to their farms, which is an indication that poverty has even gone beyond the 100 million Nigerians who are said to be living in poverty. Because if you check what is happening right now, where the bulk of the farmers do not have access to their farms, it portends serious danger for nutrition in the country. Of course, there are millions of Nigerians who are stunted, children who are stunted, malnourished because of lack of food. And you now have a situation where bandits are allowed to roam about without challenge, to the level that the governor of Kaduna State admitted in a memo to the president that bandits are running parallel government in Kaduna State. And if you know Kaduna well, Kaduna is one of the states that are producing grains in this country. Farmers do not have access to their farms. Some communities have been so frustrated because of the activities of bandits that they have literally left their communities. And their communities and the lands they inherited from their ancestors are lying west, not being cultivated. So that is at the root of the food scarcity we are having today in Nigeria. It is at the root of the high cost of foodstuff that we're having in the country. And it's not going to go away anytime soon, sadly, because it appears both the state government and the federal government are overwhelmed. Because if they are not, I do not see why bandits could be able to operate with such impunity across the country. So the question we should ask ourselves, what is it that Nigeria is doing that makes Nigeria a conducive atmosphere that provides enabling environment for bandits to roam about freely in Nigeria? Why is it that we don't have bandits in Sierra Leone? Why is it that we don't have bandits in Ghana roaming around, destroying farmlands, taxing farmers? Why is it that we don't have it in Liberia? Why is it we don't have it in other West African countries? What is it about Nigeria? What is it about Nigerian leadership that provided enabling environment for bandits to be roaming about, threatening communities, driving farmers away from their farmlands, and yet we are unable to control it? So what is it that Nigeria is doing? There must be complacency on the part of the leadership. Because if this cannot happen in Ghana, it cannot happen in Togo, it cannot happen in Benin Republic, it cannot even happen in Niger, but it's happening in Nigeria, and the government seem overwhelmed. It's a time for us to ask ourselves, what is really the problem? People have said that some of these bandits are foreigners, but it's doubtful, because if you listen to Sheikh Gumi, who have been interacting with them, he never mentioned that they were foreigners. He keep on saying that these are marginalized Nigerians that are being neglected by government. The government should do something for them. The government should provide facilities for them. The government should give them education, as if there was a deliberate attempt to deny them education, even though many of those people, they come from states where their state government are providing free education, paying for WAEC fee. So what is it the bandits want? So that is the major issue. We must first of all get to the root of it. What is it about Nigeria that provides enabling environment for banditry, for insurgency, unlike any other part of West Africa? Why is it that these bandits are not roaming around in Cameroon and disturbing Cameroonians from their farms? Why are they doing it in Nigeria?
Well, Mr. Paul, you have spoken well. Those are searching questions that we have to really tackle. Why are these people not roaming around and destroying farms in other West African countries, only Nigeria? And of course, this is posing great risk to the country, because when it comes to the issue of food security, that is one of the major things any government should think about, because it has many implications, socio-economic implications, to say the least. So these are things we want to really ponder about, and let there be some solution to the problem, because it is going beyond what we can take for the moment. I want to say thank you very much, Mr. Paul, for being here again this Tuesday. And
thank you for having me.
We appreciate your presence always, and the insight you give to the issues we discuss on this program. Thank you to our producers, but we say our biggest thanks actually go to you who follow us loyally on this program. We'll be back tomorrow with another edition of the program, that is Tech Wednesday. That's Tech Wednesday segment of the program on Money Radio. Until then, I've been your host, Case Hammond, and from the Studio of Leadership podcast, I'm saying have a great day. God bless you.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please